I was sitting at my desk, staring at a stack of receipts and spreadsheets that didn't add up. Rental property stuff, a few late payments from tenants, a busted pipe in one unit, and now I had to chase down a $500 emergency fee some contractor just tacked on. It was past 7, and the office was dead quiet except for the hum of the air conditioning and my keyboard clicking like a broken metronome. That's when my phone buzzed. Frank, incoming call, my old man. Weird. He never calls me at night. I picked up. Hey. Nothing, just static, like a pocket call. I was about to hang up when I heard a voice, muffled but clear. He's a total failure, always has been. My spine locked up, then Mom's voice. Come on, Frank, he's pathetic, Lori, you know it. What's he done that means anything? I pressed the phone tighter against my ear. I swear, he said, his voice sharp now. Having him was the biggest mistake of my life. Kid walks around like he's some big shot. You think I don't see through all that? I didn't move, didn't blink, just sat there frozen, like my body was trying to buffer the words before they hit me. Mom mumbled something. I couldn't make it out. I'm serious. He's a joke. Can't hold down a marriage, can't give us grandkids, and acts like we owe him something. He's soft. Always has been. It hit me then. He hadn't meant to call. He must have sat down after running his mouth and forgot to hang up. I looked down at the screen. Still connected. Still live. I didn't say a word. Just hit end and dropped the phone on the desk like it burned. 6 years. 6 years I'd been quietly covering their mortgage through Oakside Ventures, the LLC I built from scratch. When their house was on the chopping block, I saved it. Not the bank. Me. And that's what he really thought of me? Quick note. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I stood up, not even sure what I was about to do. My chest was tight, like my lungs were pissed off and ready to walk out. I grabbed the folder labeled Property 12, flipped it open, and started running numbers. If they wanted to talk about pathetic, I'd show them what power really looked like. The folder was thick. Contracts, payment records, scanned deeds, the whole story of my biggest secret. Property number 12, Oakside Ventures, my parents' house. I'd set it up 6 years ago when they were circling bankruptcy like vultures over their own roof. Back then I thought I was being clever, using my LLC to quietly buy out the mortgage from the bank, so they'd never know it was me keeping them afloat. They'd keep making their bank payments, and I'd cover the rest. Every month, thousands of dollars out of my pocket just to keep them comfortable in that house with the white porch swing and the stupid ceramic goose in the front yard. At the time, it felt good, like maybe they'd finally look at me and see more than a disappointment. Now, I knew better. I scrolled through their payment history on my laptop. Each deposit came from the same checking account, always a few days late, sometimes short. The last one had barely cleared. Their balance was almost gone. Less than $200 in it. One more missed payment, and the default clause Mitch made me include would kick in. Mitch had told me, never do family deals without a parachute, Dean. They'll crash, and they'll take you with them if you don't have one. I'd laughed then, told him my parents weren't like that. He was right. The clause was simple. If they missed even a single full payment, title reverted to Oakside Ventures immediately, and physical possession could be taken after 30 calendar days. Following proper notice. All of it was perfectly legal. I opened the signed contract, zoomed in on the signatures. Mine, under the LLC. My mom's, her cursive neat but tired looking. My dad's, scrawled like he was in a hurry. He'd probably been more focused on the game than the papers that day. I remembered his voice. Thanks, son, for helping us get that bank off our back. You really came through. Came through. Yeah? With over 400 grand. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling, trying to figure out which part stung more, the fact that I'd saved their house, or that I'd done it thinking it would buy me respect. I wasn't trying to be some hero, I just wanted them to see me. That's the part that burned. My phone buzzed with a message from Mitch. Mitch, everything okay, man? You usually don't check property logs this late. I texted back, just reviewing some numbers, nothing urgent. He sent back, remember, that default clause works both ways. You can take it if you need to. Don't hesitate. I didn't answer. Instead, I went back to the spreadsheet. Their latest payment had come in 6 days ago. The next one was due in 4. I watched the clock on my monitor tick over to 10:14 p.m. 4 days until the next deadline. 4 days until I decided what kind of son I really wanted to be. I saved the file, shut the laptop, and stood up. If they thought I was still that pathetic kid they could talk down to, they were about to find out how wrong they were. Sunday came faster than I expected. Mom had texted me late Thursday. "We're doing dinner Sunday. Come by at 6? No smiley face. No, "love you." Just plain and cold, like always. I didn't respond right away. Waited a full day before I said, "Sure, see you then." She didn't reply. When I pulled into the driveway, the porch lights were already on. The flower beds looked freshly trimmed, big fall wreath on the door. From the outside, everything screamed stable, happy family. Funny, considering they were 3 days away from defaulting and didn't even know it. I rang the bell and waited. Mom opened the door like nothing was wrong. "There he is," she said with this forced cheer, pulling me into a side hug that felt more like a business handshake. Inside, the house looked better than it had in years. New curtains, smelled like cinnamon candles, and some kind of roast in the oven. The table was set with the good plates. Dad walked in from the den. "Hey buddy, you look sharp. Work keeping you busy?" He said it with a smile, like we hadn't just passed a live grenade back on the phone. "Yeah," I said. "Busy as ever." Then came my brother, Trevor, sitting on the couch like he owned the place. Hoodie, joggers, the same cocky grin he's had since high school. "Yo," he said, nodding like he was doing me a favor. "Trevor," I replied. We sat down to eat. Mom passed around the food like we were some picture-perfect family from a magazine. Dad made small talk, sports, traffic, some crap about the neighbor's dog. Trevor threw in a few jokes. They laughed. I chewed and smiled like I wasn't counting down the seconds until they showed their hand. It didn't take long. Mom cleared her throat and set down her fork. "So, your father and I were talking," here it came. "And things have gotten a little tight lately. Just a temporary thing." Dad jumped in. "We hate to ask, Dean, really, but we could use a little extra help. Maybe just $2,500 a month. Just for a while." I wiped my mouth with the napkin. "That's a lot." "It's nothing to you," Trevor said, like it was obvious. "You make good money, right?" I looked at him, dead in the eyes. "You working yet?" He smirked. "Still looking for the right fit." Mom gave him a warning look, then turned to me. "It's not about him. This is about keeping the family stable. We've all got to do our part." I leaned back, let out a breath like I was thinking hard. "I mean, I'll take a look at the numbers, see what I can do." Dad clapped his hand on the table. "That's my boy." I forced a smile. "Yeah." Inside, I was boiling. They sat there in the house I paid for, asking for more like I was their personal ATM, acting like they still had power, still held the cards, like I should be grateful they even let me sit at the table. They didn't have a clue who really owned that house, but they were about to find out. The second I got home from that dinner, I called Mitch. He answered on the second ring. "Dean, late night call. What's up?" I didn't waste time. Their account's nearly dry. If they don't make a $5,500 payment in 4 days, it's over. The clause kicks in. He paused. "You sure you're ready for that?" "Yeah," I said. "More than ready." He exhaled slowly. "Then I'll prep the paperwork, just in case." For the next few days, I checked the account like clockwork. Morning, noon, night. Each time, nothing, no payment, no transfer, not even a pending transaction. By the third day, I didn't need to refresh anymore. I already knew how this story ended. At 8:30 that morning, Mitch called again. His tone was calm, but I could hear the grin underneath. "They missed it," he said. "Clause activates. I just sent the confirmation notice to your inbox." I opened my laptop. There it was. Subject line, default notice, property 12. Right below it, the official line that changed everything. As per contract, title reverts to Oakside Ventures effective immediately. Just like that, the house was mine. Legally, completely. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen until it blurred. 6 years of silence, of trying to buy love and approval with mortgage payments, boiled down to one email. My phone lit up. "Mom." I let it ring, then it rang again. "Dad," then again, then both of them, back to back, like some tag team of guilt and panic. By noon, I had 37 missed calls. My voicemail box was full. I ignored every single one. At 1:15, the phone buzzed again. I picked up. Dean, Mom's voice cracked. The bank's saying something's wrong with the house. Did you get a notice too? I kept my voice steady. Yeah, I got it. What's happening? She asked, panicked now. I hesitated just for a second before I said it. The bank didn't own the house. Silence. What are you talking about? Dad snapped in the background. It wasn't the bank, I said. It was me. Oakside Ventures is my company. You've been paying me the last 6 years. Nothing. Not a sound. Then, you're lying, Dad said, his voice low and sharp. That's not possible. I have the contract, the title, the payment logs. Every document's got your signatures. You think this is funny? He barked. You think you can play games with us? It's not a game, I said. You defaulted. The house is mine now. Mom started crying in the background. Dean, you can't do this to us. I didn't do anything, I said. You missed the payment. That clause was there from day one. You agreed to it. Dad's voice came back, louder now. You smug little show-off. You think you own us? No, I said, calm this time. Just the house. He shouted something else, but I hung up before I could catch it. The silence that followed felt cleaner than air after a storm. For once, I wasn't the one begging. 3 days later, I was halfway through lunch when my phone buzzed. Uncle Chuck. He never called unless it mattered. I wiped my hands, answered. Hey, Chuck, what's up? His voice came through tight and serious. Dean, I need to tell you something before it blindsides you. Go ahead. It's your dad, he said. He's running his mouth all over town, bragging about how he's gonna take you down. I leaned back in my chair. Take me down how? He's talking crazy stuff. Says he's calling your job, filing complaints about you cooking the books or something. Said he might even get the IRS to dig into your company. I didn't say anything at first. Just stared out my office window at the parking lot, watching a couple of guys unload a truck. My jaw tightened. Chuck sighed. Look, I told him to knock it off. You know me? I've never taken sides in your fights. But this isn't right, Dean. You should be ready. I appreciate the heads up, I said. Really? Don't let him pull you down with him, son. He's desperate. That's when your dad gets mean. I know, I said quietly. Trust me, I know. When I hung up, I sat there for a minute, trying to decide if I was angry or just numb. He'd already lost the house. Now he wanted to go after my job. Fine. He wanted a war. I'd play defense smarter than he ever could. That night, I stayed late at the office. Most of the lights were off except for the glow from my monitor. I opened my email, drafted a short message to HR, and hit send. Need to discuss potential personal issue that could affect work environment. Requesting a quick meeting tomorrow morning. The next day, I walked into HR right on time. Layla, my manager, was waiting at the small round table in her office, a notepad in front of her. She was professional, but kind, never one for drama. Everything okay, Dean? She asked. I sat down. Not exactly. This stays between us? Of course. I told her everything. The mortgage, the house, the fallout. I didn't sugarcoat a thing. I laid it out like a spreadsheet, clear, factual, documented. She didn't interrupt once, just nodded, scribbling a few notes. When I finished, she leaned back. So, he might contact the company or the IRS to make false claims? Exactly. He's done worse when he's angry. She gave a calm smile. You've been here 5 years, Dean. Your record's clean. We'll flag it internally, document this conversation, and notify compliance just in case. If he calls or emails, it gets shut down fast. I nodded. Appreciate that. She stood, closing her notebook. You've got nothing to worry about. Go back to work. Let us handle any noise that comes through. Walking out of that office, I felt lighter for the first time in weeks. He'd tried to take my roof. Now he wanted to take my work. But this time, he lost before he even started. A week later, I heard the knock before I saw the car. 3 sharp bangs on the door, loud, impatient. I was in the kitchen, making coffee. I knew it was them before I even checked the peephole. I opened the door. There they stood, both of them. Dad's face was blotchy, that deep red he got when he was about to lose it. Mom looked like she hadn't slept, eyes puffy, makeup half smeared like she'd tried to pull it together and gave up halfway through. He didn't waste a second. We need the house back, he said. Voice flat, no emotion, like he was placing a damn order at a counter. I didn't move, didn't step aside. You're not coming in. Mom blinked like she was stunned I'd even say that. Dean, come on, we just want to talk. Talk right there, I said. Dad puffed up. Don't act like a stranger. We're still your parents. I crossed my arms. No, you're two people standing on my porch asking for something you already blew. Mom's lip quivered. It's our home, Dean. You know what that house means to us. Yeah, I said. I know exactly what it means to you. A free ride, a place to pretend everything's fine while you treat me like garbage. That's not fair, she whispered. No, I said. 6 years of payments, quiet support, no credit, no respect, no thanks. And you couldn't go one phone call without calling me a failure, Dad finally snapped. We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head. You owe us something. I almost laughed. You mean the roof I've been paying for since I was 32? His eyes narrowed. You're being spiteful. You think this makes you powerful? No, I said. I think it makes me free. Mom stepped forward, hands clasped. We're in a bad place. Your father's upset, but he didn't mean those things. He meant every word, I said. I heard it, word for word. You didn't defend me. You let him tear me apart like I wasn't even standing there, and you nodded along like it was truth. She started to cry, but I didn't budge. I'd seen this routine too many times. Guilt, tears, a hug, and suddenly I'm paying another bill. Not this time. Dad's jaw clenched. You're gonna regret this? I looked him dead in the eyes. No, I'm not. His mouth opened like he wanted to say more, but I didn't give him the chance. I stepped back, grabbed the edge of the door, and shut it in his face. Not hard, not dramatic, just firm, final. Through the glass, I watched him stand there for a second, fists clenched, shoulders twitching like he wanted to punch something. Mom wiped her face, said something to him I couldn't hear. Then they walked off the porch and back to their car. I didn't move until I heard the engine start and fade down the street. I turned, walked into my living room, and sat on the couch. It was quiet. Not the awkward, heavy kind of quiet. This was clean, weightless. For the first time, I didn't feel like their son. I felt like a man who'd finally taken his life back. I was back at my desk the next morning when the email came in. Subject: Notice of Proposed Reinstatement Negotiation from Jenkins and Brower, LLP. I didn't even have to open it to know what it was. Some half-baked attempt to scare me into giving the house back. I clicked it anyway, scrolled past the legal-sounding fluff until I hit the guts of it. Our clients, Frank and Lori Winters, request the opportunity to renegotiate the mortgage arrangement and explore reinstatement terms to retain their primary residence. I snorted, retain, like it was ever really theirs. I didn't even bother drafting a reply, just forwarded the whole thing to Mitch. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. He didn't say hello, just started laughing. They're really trying this? He said between chuckles. Yep, Jenkins and Brower. That firm does HOA disputes and slip and falls. They're not even in the same league. This isn't a case, Dean. It's a tantrum. I leaned back in my chair. So we ignore it? Oh no, we reply. I'll handle it. But trust me, everything was airtight. They signed. They defaulted. You're in the clear. This reinstatement angle, it's just desperation dressed up in legalese. I could hear him grinning through the phone. Let them waste their money. You're bulletproof. I thanked him and hung up. 5 minutes later, Uncle Chuck called. Dean, he said, without even a greeting. He's still at it. Who, Dad? Yeah, he's calling anyone who'll pick up. Old coworkers, mutual friends, even some cousin in Nevada he hasn't seen in 15 years, telling them you stole the house, that you forged documents, that you're running a scam business. I let out a slow breath. Let him talk. Chuck hesitated. He's digging, trying to find something, says he'll expose you. Whatever that means. He's grasping. He's got nothing. I know that, but still, you be careful. He's pissed, Dean. This is personal now. It was always personal. After we hung up, I spent the next few hours locking down everything. Change passwords, enabled two-factor on every account, scrubbed my old social media, cut off the loose ends, blocked both their numbers, email, everything. They wanted a war. I was done fighting like a son. From now on, I fought like a businessman. I checked the calendar. It had been exactly 2 days since Mitch filed the notice of default with the county. That meant 28 days left. 28 days, and they were out. Didn't matter if they screamed, cried, begged, or threatened to burn the place down. When that clock hit 0, they were done. There was no deal, no going back. They pulled the trigger, and now they had to eat the bullet. Day 31. The sun was barely up when I pulled up to the curb. No cars in the driveway, no lights, no movement. I stepped out of mine, walked up to the house, my house, and stood there for a second, just listening. Dead quiet. Mark, my property manager, pulled in behind me. He climbed out with a clipboard in one hand and a coffee in the other. "They're gone," he said. "Moved out sometime last night. Got the notice from the neighbor across the street." I nodded. "Eviction avoided?" "Just barely. They left 2 hours before the sheriff was scheduled to show. Didn't even lock up right." He handed me the keys. "It's yours now, completely." I pushed open the front door. The air smelled like dust and cold food. The place looked like a rushed escape. Boxes stacked crooked by the wall, random junk tossed in trash bags, a half-empty bottle of dish soap still on the counter. They'd taken the furniture, the TV, anything they could sell or cling to. But the bitterness, they left that behind like mold in the corners. I walked through the living room, same old carpet, stained in the same spots I remembered from high school, past the old hallway, scuffed walls where Trevor and I used to roughhouse before he turned smug and useless. I stopped at the bedroom that used to be mine, still had that creaky door, same crooked curtain rod. There was nothing in there, just 4 walls and memories that didn't mean much anymore. It should have felt like something. Instead, it just felt over. I left the keys with Mark, told him to get a cleaning crew in that week. I didn't care about the junk, just wanted it gone. All of it. A week later, the listing went live. The housing market was nuts. 3 offers came in within 24 hours. It sold that Friday, full asking, no contingencies. I wired Mitch his cut, took my portion and did something I'd been thinking about for months. Started a fund, not a big one, not charity. Just something real, something for guys like me. Guys who spent years giving everything to people who called it nothing. I called it the Second Backbone Fund, a little nod to every son who got told he'd never be enough, then got asked to save the same people who broke him. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about pity. It was about power, the kind that doesn't come from screaming matches or lawsuits, the kind that shows up in silence, in walking away with your head high and your own damn name on the deed. Some guys use the fund to cover legal fees, some for rent, some just to breathe. I didn't ask too many questions. I just paid forward the lesson that took me 38 years to learn. No one owns you, not your last name, not the people who raised you, not the ones who call themselves family. Real loyalty? That's earned, and I don't owe anybody anything anymore. 3 months went by. No calls, no emails, no drama. The house was gone. The fund was running smooth. Work was solid. For the first time in years, life was quiet, and it stayed that way, right up until my phone buzzed on a Wednesday morning. One new email. From Lori Winters. Subject: Please, Dean. I opened it, short. Just a few lines. Please, Dean, we don't know where else to go. Can we talk? No caps, no punctuation at the end, just messy, tired words. I stared at it for maybe 10 seconds, not mad, not hurt, just done. There was a time that message would have cracked me wide open, would have kept me up all night, pacing, rereading every word like it was a lifeline. But now, I moved the mouse, clicked delete, didn't flinch, didn't look back. That Friday, Uncle Chuck called again. Just checking in, kid, he said. You holding up all right? Yeah, I said. Better than ever. He hesitated. You hear from them? I leaned back in my chair. Yeah. She emailed. I ignored it. He let out a breath. They're at Trevor's now, all 3 of them in that little apartment, fighting every day from what I hear. It's bad. Not my problem, I said. I figured you'd say that. Just thought you should know. He waited a second, then, do you feel guilty at all? I didn't hesitate. No, not even a little. He stayed quiet. I gave them everything, Chuck, everything I had. 6 years of money, patience, silence. They spat on it. Then they tried to wreck me. You don't get to do that and come back like nothing happened. He finally spoke. You're right. I nodded. I've got my house, my job, and my peace. That's enough. They've got each other. And honestly, that's punishment enough. He laughed under his breath. That it is. Some people love to say blood is thicker than water. Maybe it is, but respect, that's thicker than both. I poured my whole damn life into trying to be enough for them, trying to prove I was worth something just because we shared a last name. Not anymore. I hung up the phone, stood up, and went back to work like nothing happened. Because for me, nothing had. If you were in my place, would you have answered that last email or kept walking?